All right, so let's use mental math to solve some of the following problems before we get to number 17, which we're going to do. All right, so let's go back and review. Let's do 5, actually let's do 50 into 250, and we're going to do 20 into 260, and then we're going to do 19 into 97. Okay. So starting with 50 into 250. Now remember, if we have zeros on both, we can pretend as if they're not there. So we're going to imagine they're gone. And we look at the 5 and the 25. So 5 and 25. How many times does 5 go into 25? Good, 5 times. Now remember, we crossed off those zeros, but they're still actually there. So because the answer will be the same, we know that if 5 goes into 25, then 50 goes into 250 the same amount of times. So that's 5 times. And then we can multiply and make sure that there's not a remainder. So 5 times 0 is 0, and 5 times 20 times 5 is 25. We subtract that out, and we have subtract that out, starting with the right. There we go. And we have no remainder. Awesome. So now let's do 20 into 260. So again, we have a 0 on both, so we can pretend as if they're not there, but we're still going to start our answer over top of the last 0. How many times does 2 go into 26? Or, look at this. How many times does 2 go into 2? That's 1 time. And 2 goes into 6 3 times. Good. So that's 13. So 13 is our final answer, but remember we have these zeros crossed off, so we still have to put our answer over top of them. So we got 1 for 2 over 2 and 3 for 2 into 6. And then we can multiply to check. So let's do our 13 times 0 is 0, and 13 times 2 is 26. And so we get a 0 remainder. If we wanted to do that same problem and do it all the way out, we could do it another way. 20 into 260. Now, just imagining that this, we say 20, can 20 go into 2? Nope. So there's nothing's going to go there. Can 20 go into 26? Yes. 20 can go into 6 how many times? Good, 1 time. So 1 times 20 is 20. We have a remainder of 6 here. We carry down our 0. Can 20 go into 60? Or can 2 go into 6? Yes, 3 times. So we do 3 times 0 is 0, 3 times 2 is 6, and we have no remainder. So you see how we get the same answer even if we take a different approach. The last one I want to look at is 19 into 97. So this is a good time to use our think bubble. 19 would round up to 20. And we use that to figure out what our first number is going to be in our answer. 20 and 97. 97 is pretty close to 100, so I like to use that number. But just in case you forget that, we can still just look at 97. So what's the closest number to 97 that 20 can fit in perfectly? So 20 times what gives you an answer close to 97 without going over? Hopefully you said 4, because 4 times 20 is 80. So when we multiply, this is super important. Remember, we're still going to multiply this 4 times the 19. The think bubble just helps us get started. So 4 times 9 is 36. Good. And 4 times 1 is 4 plus the 3, and we get 76, which makes sense because 20 would have given us 80, so 19 should give us a number a little bit smaller. So our 6 is less than 7, so we can go ahead and subtract it. Remember, if it's bigger, then we have to borrow. So 7 minus 6 is 1, and then 9 minus 7 is 2. Uh-oh, now we've got a remainder and it's bigger than our divisor. So that means that 4 is probably not big enough. And that's okay. If your remainder is bigger than your divisor, then we know we need to increase that by 1. So let's use 5. So 5 times 9 is 45. And then 5 times 1 is 5 plus our 4. That gives us 9. Oh, this looks a lot better. Okay, so let's look again. 5 is smaller than 7, so we can go ahead and subtract and get 2. And then 9 minus 9 is 0, so we have a remainder of 2. Yay, perfect. All right, now let's look at number 17. The ladies made 945 brownies. Kurt and Aubrey placed 36 brownies on each platter. How many platters were filled? So really they're asking you, they just want to know how many platters there are, because we already know that they filled each platter with 36 brownies. So we figure that out by dividing. So we're going to do 36 into 945. And I'm going to rewrite this 36 over here. 36, there we go. Into 945. Now, we could use our think bubble. And if you use your think bubble, then this would become 40. Okay, and then can 40 go into 9? Nope. Or actually, we were doing the shading, this block, there we go. Can 40 go into 94? Yes. It can go in 2 times. 40 times 2 gives us 80. So remember, when we do our multiplication though, we're going to go back and use our original divisor. So 2 times 36. So 2 times 6 is 12. And 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 gives us 7. Subtract that out. 2 is smaller than 4, so we can go ahead and get 2 and 2. Good, and this is smaller than our divisor, so we can keep going. Now we are going to carry down our 5. We've got 225. Can 36 go into 225? I sure hope so. So if you need to guess estimate again or guess, we can use the 40 again, or you can use the 36. The 36 is going to give you the closer answer. So let's try that. We know that 2 times 36 is 72, which is smaller than 100. In fact, it's 22 smaller than 100. 225 is 100 plus 100 plus 25. So that means that for every 2 times into 100, we have 22 left over. So 2 times into 100 plus 2 times into another 100, that's 4 times already, with a remainder of 22 from the first, 22 from the second, and 25 from the end, which is 69, which won't fit 2 because it's smaller than 79. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it should go in 5 times. But if you can't do it like that, it's totally okay. Let's look at using 40. So 40 going into 225. Let's just imagine we don't have the endings. 4 into 22. 4 goes into 22 how many times? 5. Great. So 5 times 4 gives us 20. So let's try that. Let's put our 5 back in here. See if I can erase just, there we go. Okay. So 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 plus our 3. So we've got 18. Okay, so we've got 5. Oh, now we've got 8, which is bigger than 2, so we're going to have to borrow. So this is going to become 12, and this is going to become 1. So 12 minus 8 is 4, and then we've got 0. Oh no! We've got a remainder that's bigger than our divisor again, so we know that we're going to change this to a 6. So our new number is 26. So 6 here we go. We're at 225. All right, so 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 plus our 3 gives us 21. So we've got 2, 16. 6 is bigger than 5. Oh, so we've got to borrow. All right, 15 minus 6 is 9. 1 minus 1 is 0, and 2 minus 2 is 0. So we have 26, remainder 9. 26, remainder 9. Okay, so they said how many platters were filled? That's 26. How many were left over? 9. Perfect. Go back to the beginning if you need to and review it again and follow along and try to pause it and answer the questions or the next steps before I say them to make sure that you've got it down packed. All right, looking forward to seeing you at the next lesson.